इसको रीसेट कर देंगे अंदर इससे करें हॉटस्पॉट बनाकर
जरूर चालू हो जाएगा।
क्या है
हॉटस्पॉट तो काफी सिस्टम
किसको नहीं गया इसको लगाया इसको हॉटस्पॉट
चल जाएगा।
नहीं चल
नहीं चल तुम बंद कर दो ना चलो चाहिए तो इसी वजह से 18 बस प्रेजेंटेशन दे दो पार्ट वन
हॉटस्पॉट कर दूं
नहीं सकती कैसे हो जाएगा इसको बंद कर दो समय
इसमें है
अभी तो दोनों को
इसमें चल रहा होगा
इसमें तो राजेश का वैसे चल गया तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं इसमें वाईफाई ऑफ करो
इसको बोलो So we have the last 5 verses of chapter 20. छिंद स्नेह मत्तनो कुमुदम सारदिदम सारदिदम तम तंतिमदेव प्रवीर निब्बानम सुजेतन देशति।
छिंद स्नेहम, स्नेह को प्रेम, उसको काट दो। अत्तानु, अपने प्रति जो प्रेम है उसको काट दो। कुमुदम, कुमुद लोटस फ्लावर। शारदिकम व शारद मतलब शरद ऋतु का। ये शरद ऋतु का अंदर जो लोटस होता है उसकी सिंगली दी गई है। संतिमग्गम एवं ब्रू, जैसे कि एक आदमी शरद ऋतु का लोटस को काट कर देता है, काट सकता है, उसी तरह से अपने प्रति प्रेम जो है काट। संतिमग्गम एवं ब्रूहा है। ये संतिमग्गम शांति का जो मार्ग है वो उसको प्रैक्टिस करो। निब्बानम सुगतेन देशिकम, सुगत मतलब जो भगवान बुद्ध थे, तो भगवान बुद्ध ने जो निर्वाण का मार्ग पढ़ाया है, देशिकम को सिखाया, उसकी प्रैक्टिस करो। कट ऑफ द लव ऑफ द सेल्फ एज यू वुड एन ऑटम लोटस इन योर हैंड, practice the path of tranquility, nirvana, talking. And the story, as you might have seen, is about the same issue of giving a proper object of meditation to people. So there was a young monk who was a pupil of Sariputta, so he gave him the subject of impurity in the body. And he tried and tried, he couldn't do any progress on that. So he took him to the Buddha. When Buddha changed his tactic, he saw that this person was the son of a goldsmith. So he gave him a beautiful lotus and said, you should use this as an object of meditation. So using that he practiced jhana and attained the fourth jhana very quickly. And then at that time, the Buddha made that lotus to be there. So, and as the monk saw it, he realized about the impermanence, and then Buddha told this verse. And that was enough to give him a dip into the Nibbana. And the second,
Udha Vasam Vasi Sami Udha Himanta Yunghisu Iti Balo Vichinteti Antarayam Navachiti
इति वसम वसिष्यामि, इद वसम वसिष्यामि, इद हेमंत गिन्नीचि, इति बालो विचिंतेति अंतरायम न बुद्धति। ये यहाँ वसम बारिश के मौसम में वसिष्यामि रहूंगा, यहाँ मैं बारिश के मौसम में रहूंगा। इधर हेमंत, यहाँ पे विंटर में, गिन्नीसु इधर गर्मी में। इति बालो विचिंतति, मूर्ख वो ऐसा ही सोचता रहता है। Antarayam na buddhati, doesn't understand the dangers inherent in the life. So that is the verse, and the story associated with is about a merchant, Mahadhan naam se, Mahadhan आप सुन सकते हैं, नाम है उसका indicator. He came to a Savatthi for a festival to sell his goods, and on his way stopped because the river was there and it was under flood. He couldn't cross the river for 7 days. And therefore the festival ended before he could get into that festival. So then he decided to stay in Savatthi and sell his goods slowly. And once the Buddha saw him and just smiled. So Ananda asked him why are you smiling, and then Buddha said that this person is not aware that he is going to die within 7 days. And he comfortably thinks that he can stay in Savatthi comfortably for a long time and sell his goods and then return home and things like that. So then Ananda advises Mahadana that he should come and listen to Buddha's sermons and practice the Dhamma. So he practices, and when he hears that he is going to die, practices with great alacrity. And then he gives alms to Buddha and monks and listens to Dhamma, and he attains the Sotapanna before he dies. So that is the story of association of this. And then Buddha recites this verse.
So Krishna, this is to do with not losing time on the path.
This has to do with more like being mindful all the time, not getting carried away by the worldly thoughts all the time. So one should be mindful all the time. You never know when the death may happen.
Tongue, kutta, pasni, stomach. What is tongue?
Samattam.
Payasatta, manasam, naram, uttam, gamam, kamam, mahagova, machu, padaya, gachati.
Tam पुत्र पशु समत्तम. पुत्र में और पशुओं में जिसकी लाइट है, टेक्स्ट लाइट इन दैट. व्यासता मानसंग अटैच्ड है. person with attached mind. So the man delights in his sons and cattle with an attached mind. सुत्तंगामं महागोवा. सुत्तंगाम तो जैसे गांव जो है जिसमें सब लोग सो रहे हैं, उसको जैसे महाओग मतलब फ्लड, जैसे फ्लड विल जस्ट स्वीप अवे द स्लीपिंग विलेज. In the same way, if Machu Adaya Gachati goes to the death will just sweep him away, carry him away. The story of Sagutami we know about it. Whose only son had died, and then how Buddha used this verse to calm her down and then gave the advice to do once. We know about that. She went to the city and asked her to bring some mustard grapes. So that is the story associated with that. We had a verse earlier in which the other part of the story is there. After she brought the verse and then how she felt. This is about the earlier part. Tell us that if you delight in this, death will carry away. The next two verses are associated with the story of Patacha, which again we have, I think, heard many times about a woman who lost her husband, sons, parents within a span of few days. So what does it mean? Na santi putta tanaya, na pita, na pi bandhava, antaken adipannasya, nathi nati sukhamata. Kanta का मतलब है क्या? Protection. Na santi putta tanaya, पुत्रों में protection नहीं है, there is protection. Na pita, na pi bandhava, na ही पिता, ना ही relatives. And get protection from there. अंत के अंत समय में जब मृत्यु के द्वारा अधिपन्नस्य seized by the death, nothing न्याति सुकामता. कोई relative will not give you much any protection. एकं अर्थवासं ज्ञात्वा, इस तरह से इसको ठीक से इसका अर्थ समझ के, सिग्निफिकेंस समझ के, पंडितों शील समझो, the wise people who are righteous, निब्बानम गमनम मग्गम, जो निब्बान की ओर ले जाता है रास्ता, कृपा में वो सोते quickly they try to clear it out. So the path which leads to nibbana, once they realize the significance of this statement that there is no protection in this world, then they are righteous people should quickly clear the path leading to nibbana. Practice it so that they can attain nibbana quickly. That are the two verses, last two verses of Bhagavad. The two verses are associated with the same story of Bhattacharya.
क्या है?
जी,
ये chapter 20.
Magga.
हाँ, so
It is to do with the path. These are the verses in which something about the path has been connected. So that is spoken at different times, so people combine.
the Magga is mark path and Bhagavad is
Chapter, section. Magga means section. Every chapter has Vaggu at the end. Yemak Vagga, Yemak Vaggu. Vaggu means the objective class.
So sir, this is the comparison that took place during the first
Council.
and it was all Ananda's sort of memory.
Another memory of all the discourses and the events which happened for the last 25 years. And there must have been others also who might have contributed.
So sir, बाकियों का क्या रोल था जो और अर्हत बैठे थे?
Listening and saying that yes, we are also witness to this. Some of them might have heard it at that time. So they concurred, yes, he is right, this is what is really so. They concurred and then only they were put in the compilation.
So at that time the compilation was oral.
And how did these sort of categories get created? जैसे मार्ग का है इस प्रकार से ये उस दौरान हुआ.
Exactly उसी में हुआ कि subsequent councils में rights were really known, but this Sutta Pitak, Vinay Pitak, Dhamma Pitak and Abhidhamma Pitak, that was done. That is known for sure. उसमें लिखा गया कि धम्म और विनय को अलग अलग किया गया. That is विनय वाले जो तो उपाली में गाए, ये भी है रिकॉर्ड में कि जो विनय पिटक है वो उपाली की रेसिटेशन पे बनाई गई. उपाली
Not
आनंदा के लिए सुप्त पिटक, which is the biggest one. एंड अभिधम्म पिटक के बारे में वो डाउट रहता है कि वो उसी में हुआ था कि बाद में हुआ था. उसमें तेरावालन से नहीं उसी टाइम हुआ था. जो मोर लिबरला कहते हैं उस समय नहीं हुआ था क्योंकि कुछ चीजें अभिधम्म पिटक में जो ऐड की गई वो अशोका के काउंसिल के टाइम पे ऐड की गई. दैट इज नोन. तो कहते सिर्फ वही बुक ऐड की गई थी, बाकी नहीं. मेरा डिस्प्यूट्स है. But Sutta Pitak was recited by all the suttas were recited by Ananda and Vinay Pitak by Gopal. It deals with the regulations primarily. Well, it deals with other things also, primarily with the regulations of the laws. Gopali was supposed to be the leader, yeah. Excelling in Vinay. Pali was a barber of the princes who had gone with them to cut off their hair so that they can join the market. Then who said I know. And then Buddha gave ordination to him first and to princes later. So you can see it. And he of course excelled very much in the following the Vinaya. So he was there asked by Mahakashya. This much is written in the records.
कान काटने का स्टार्ट हो गया था तो उन्होंने खुद अपने नहीं करना.
वो पिक्चर जो मूर्तियाँ बना दी है उसका तो क्या करते हैं. तो उनकी खुद की सूत्र में आएगा उन्होंने कि मैंने सारे बात काट दी और काट के अपने वस्त्र और वो सब उसको देवी चलना that is part of the records that he himself says. मैंने सारे आभूषण उतार दिए और तलवार से बाल काट
सारी वो बन
मूर्तियों में उनको ऐसा बनाया गया कि there are some kind of matrix marks.
जैसा सिंपलेस्ट वे अभिधम्म जो है और जो सुक्त है, in its simplest way, what's the sort of link, what's the relationship?
Suttas are a description of discourses given to people, kings, lay people, monks, and so on. And therefore there is a dialogue in them. kind of a dialogue. He invites the crew, then he tells them, then he asks the questions to them, then they answer yes, no, and so on. In Abhidhamma, there is no such thing. It is straight exposition of philosophy. It is a detailed exposition of the Abhidhamma means higher Dhamma. It is a detailed exposition of the laws of nature. What constitutes the world? Rupa, Chitta, Chetasika, Nibbana, four constitutes. Whole world is subdivided into that, and then there are characteristics of Rupa, Chitta, Chetasika, and so on. There's no dialogue, it is just like continuous exposition, very terse things.
So it's almost a derivative of it's the star of the Chitta almost, is it?
It's not a sar, it is an exposition of some points made in the Chitta में भी अभिधम्म के झलक आती है, तो उन इश्यूज को जो क्वेश्चंस ऐसे unanswered questions थे जो वो inquisitive were forced to ask these questions, answers to these questions in the form of a complete framework of how the mind works, how it interacts with body, how the thoughts arise, how various kinds of mind states arise. And so it's a comprehensive, it's more like a deep psychology, how the mind works. So the legend has it that it was not given to bhikkhus. This Abhidhamma was taught to Mahamaya, Rajabuddha, in Tushita Devloka. She was in Tushita Devloka and he went to teach this to her mother out of gratitude. And there all the devas were there. And the reason given is that whenever Buddha gives a discourse, it has to be given in one sitting. You cannot get up and then come and then listen to the discourse again. And Abhidhamma is so vast that it took 3 months for him if he had to give it according to the earth time. But 3 months of earth time is equal to 1 day of Tushita Devloka. So he would go there, give a discourse continuously to them. And he would take a break for a few minutes, but the audience would keep sitting. His break for a few minutes would be to come back to earth, take alms food and go. That's the story. Then he would go back and give. But meanwhile they would be meditating. He would start again, this way it was done. And they say that when he would come to earth, then he would meet Sariputta and ask him, "Kahan gaye the?" So then he would recite the whole thing to Sariputta. And majority of the disciples of Buddhist countries, Sri Lanka, believe that actually it was written by Sariputta.
So I didn't follow. So when he would come here for his
So during that time he would expound it to, repeat it to the Sariputta also, because he knew that he is the only person who can really grasp it. Others cannot grasp it. This is also part of that legend. But when he studied, he actually believed that it must be Sariputta who must have written it, who must have expounded it, and then it has become a part of it. So large number of, therefore in Mahayana it's called Sariputta Abhidharma Kosha, something like that. There is something like that. But whoever they wrote it doesn't matter to us. You can read it and verify whether it makes sense or not. So that's the key issue. And it makes immense sense. But it's very difficult to read the original. So most of the people read the commentary of it. It's a commentary of its first chapter, written by Abhidhamma Sangha. Yes. Introduction to Abhidhamma. Manual of Abhidhamma. That's how Aditya Bodhi is translated. So that is available in English. It's called Manual of Abhidhamma. So Even reading that is sufficient to drive one crazy.
इसको तो बहुत मन तारीख टाइम है तो बोले आगे तो बढ़े ही नहीं तो बस चक्कर में फिर उसकी
That introduction is a kind of introduction to Abhidhamma. No? That has the summary of it.
but Abhidhamma is much more bigger than
It's a huge thing. It is, runs into, I don't know, 80 volumes or something like that. It's a huge thing. उसमें जो पठान पाली है, जो पठान है, the relationships, that itself runs into huge number. I don't know, 80 or 30, big, a huge number, unimaginable number of things. उसमें अभिगम को टेक्निकल बुक्स है ना, कई सारे जैसे सबसे पिटक में है, बुक्स मध्यम निकाय, दीर्घ निकाय, खुदक पाठ, खुद निकाय, उनके पार्ट्स हैं, so there are in each. Sutta Pitaka is not just one book, so many things. Similarly, Abhidhamma Pitaka has some 12 or 13 books, out of which Patthana itself is something like 4,000 pages or 6,000, something of that astronomical magnitude, which is essentially various ways in which the synthetic synthesis happens. So first it is analysis. Abhidhamma first is the analysis of the mind into various constituent parts. Then how do they join together to create the whole world? So that joining together, synthesis is in the Patthana. Part of it is decided in the 5th day by Govindaji. Hetu Pachayo, Varambana Pachayo, Adhikari Pachayo, which is Hetu of the cause, dependence of Hetu, dependence of Adhipati, dependence. So these are the various kinds of dependences which there can be a relationship between various mental events. So mental events can be related to each other through being the root cause or through being the dominant cause or through being the coterminous with it or through being the reciprocity. So many things are identified. Now these 24 links, all possible permutations and combinations of all mind states and all consciousness states is put together. You can imagine. 121 states of mind and 24 ways of relating to each other, it becomes a huge number. If you multiply that mathematically, it's a huge number. So, it's very, Abhidhamma is studied in Brahma only, not very much studied elsewhere. Not in Thailand. Sri Lanka may be somewhat. Primarily, Burma is the seat of Abhidhamma. They teach it.
तो ये अंग्रेजी में भी उपलब्ध है सर?
हाँ, अभिधम्मा अभी पूरी तरह ट्रांसलेशन में नहीं उपलब्ध। पाली में तो अपने VRI डालते हैं, so you can see in the VRI how much Abhidhamma has got. The translation is not. There is this manual of Abhidhamma which has been translated. It was done earlier by Naila Konika and it has been revised by Tikku Bodhi. So there might be something of Pali-Text Society, but that is generally seen to be a poor translation. You can't really make much of it. But the original people and they were all grateful to it. But their translations of other suttas also are quite effective, because they were just discovering the meanings of the words themselves. Dictionary was under formation. So under that state to translate the text is quite a task. Spent 25 years in preparing the dictionary. Rice Davids and Chalmers. Her husband also died in the process. Then they said, "Kabhi perfect nahi hai." तुमने कहा perfect नहीं हुई, कोई बात नहीं, छाप. Perfection के चक्कर में बैठे रह जाएंगे. They did enormous work, these Britishers. They really brought Buddha to the surface actually. They discovered all these. Cunningham जो था उनका archaeological survey का chief India में, he discovered everything. The British were somehow interested. All these stupas and places, they're all dated by him. Good. People.
Is Buddhist modern psychological study essentially Abhidhamma?
Dhamma is taught to monks usually in Burma, and very few lay people also study. There are few lay people also study, but it is not it's not kind of. You see, modern psychology of West is nowhere near it. It is not been able to really comprehend the mind to such a deep extent. So it is generally seen in a deep depth psychology, you can say, of Buddhist psychology. It is called as a Buddhist psychology. But it's not modern psychology. Modern psychology, as we study in the West, for example, is a very limited idea about the functioning of mind and the arising of the notion of I. That has come as now as a part of modern psychology. But Abhidhamma has a much greater, much vaster analysis as well as synthesis. There is analysis of the mind and then synthesizes those mental states and consciousness states into various ways by which it can create the whole world of experience. Think about that is too difficult. I mean, it's mind-boggling. In the Millennium Pranha, there is a beautiful illustration for that difficulty of this kind of work. So the king asks Nagasena, why don't you, what is the, people talk a lot about this Abhidhamma being very difficult and all that. What is so great about it? He says, king, if there is an ocean and all the rivers have merged into the ocean, and can you taste the water and tell that this water is from that river and this water is from that river and this water is from that river? It's impossible. How can you do that? He says, manifold impossible is to find out from a mind state what is the constituent from where it arose. From a present mind state that you are experiencing to say from where it arose and from which how it formed, almost impossible. So that is the magnitude of task which that has achieved by this Abhidhammic analysis and synthesis of the mind states. So one can actually see how various mind states are. And examples, even in Abhidhamma Sangha, the examples given, you can see that how the person commits theft and what could be the basis. He could commit on the basis of craving, he could commit on the basis of greed, he could commit on the basis of anger. So you can see all of them as valid. So actions coming out of mind states coming out of so many possibilities. So you can imagine the kind of matrix which will arrive. They use actually matrices. Attika also together, Pali. They use the various matrices, and then the Abhidhamma Sangha also is made a huge matrix of various ways by which interactions can take place. So it's a mind-boggling thing. Even Abhidhamma Sangha is quite a challenging read, but one can read it. It's manageable. If I can manage, people can also manage. It's a kind of abstract, or you can call it, introduction to Abhidhamma or whatever. First chapter of that.
One paragraph.
It is a book, kind of, what should I say, summary or not a summary, but something of that kind.
Suresh, it will be better now. Are you able to listen to it?
So my response to that question was that yes, if there are very good meditators and who have the peacefulness and calmness to be able to really see through that mental formation, mental states, they can benefit from it. Because even Abhidhamma Sangaha, that reading of the manual of Abhidhamma, is quite a revelation. If you can read through that, and it's quite revealing. It tells us about, there are examples given, simple examples. There's just a translation of that book. So you can see from these examples how the various mind states can arise due to variety of reasons, and then variety of reasons interact. What a matrix of things will be created. All possible rules of behavior can be created because of various reasons. But to be able to find out what is the reason behind a behavior is a Herculean task that only a Buddha can do it, or a person of the, it's in this commentary it is mentioned that Sariputta was the only person who could really experience it. In the sense that he had the ability to see what are called few fine mind movements. Mind arises and passing away billions of times. So to be able to calm down the mind to such an extent that you are able to see the functioning of a mind thought arising and passing away, and at that level, the ability to see what is the cause for a particular thought to arise and all possible causes to arise, it's extremely subtle minds, which the legends and the commentaries say only Sariputta had that ability.
What are other arhats?
Not all arhats would have that capability. Just as all arhats would not have equal psychic powers. Depends on
This mean the psychic power could be lacking awareness, many different purposes. So core to the awareness and the ability to see things. I assume that most people would, at least the others would see this.
they would see cause and effect arising at the level of macro level. But this is atomic, subatomic level you are getting into. It's like the example, you have the behavior and you have the overall cause. So overall cause, Prakriti Samutpad, you can find out. So, but what is the relationship with which it is happening? Avidya, Pachya, Sankhara. Which kind of avidya will give rise to which kind of Sankhara? Needs breaking down of avidya into parts and sankharas into parts. And there are 52 different kinds of sankharas and the avidya of all different kinds. How do they interact? I mean, it needs a tremendous amount of mental kind of fortitude and the ability to penetrate. So it is said that not all arhats will have that ability.
You can take that up as
So Salishas would have expected Moggallana to understand this and not just
Moggallana had psychic powers and Sariputta had the wisdom part, the panya. So it needs a person who is really able to penetrate the nature of reality, not just get psychic powers because of concentration. It's not just a concentration process, it's a process of panya. That's why it was said Sariputta had panya and was the excelling in panya. Moggallana was excelling in the concentration levels. It's not only concentration, it is pranya, ability to do dhamma vichaya, ability to break down things into their constituents. That dhamma vichaya is the factor of enlightenment. That has to be strengthened, not the samadhi also. Said. Okay. So you lost suddenly when you got it again.
Big curve चल रहा होगा.
Nuts.
जैसे मुझे at some point Abhidhamma Sangha is something that you could pick up.
एक बार में समझा हुआ, right?
It seems so fascinating.
Then we had studied some discourses, no? We had studied some suttas wherein the Abhidhammic traces of Abhidhammic thought are there. जैसे प्रकृति समुत्पाद वाला सूत्र था और महादुख खंडा सूत्र था. There are suttas which are in which traces of Abhidhammic thought are found. Let's study. We want to study that also. Should have patience. Shouldn't get fed up. इसलिए फिर 1 घंटा ध्यान करना पड़ेगा, आधा घंटा पड़ेगा. तब ठीक है. Can do that. 1 hour meditation, 20 minutes. Study one section. Reflect on it. Once you get the knack, then you begin to like it. Shouldn't have started because I really like it. Especially after reading that Leena's book, Leena on Gokul, उसकी book पढ़ने के बाद Leena लगती है कि काफी interesting है. It's like quite useful. Maybe you could read that book itself first before reading the Abhidhamma. The book is not available. You'll have to get it download and print it out. And then you can study that. Because that is written in the style in which one can easily understand. Then from there probably we can go to this.
Okay, so I'll recap the chapter.
You was not known for that.
फिर यहाँ से वो नहीं रहेगी सर.
नहीं अभी पहले का गया 3 हफ्ते हो गए हमारे.
The chapter is role playing, and we started with this common role playing: villain, victim, and lover. And there was examples of children sometimes behaving as villains just to get attention, or people doing crime or notoriety just to gain attention. And villain is when one is in complaining mode and want to say that listen to me, listen to my side story. And in a victim's role, one can keep saying this story in one's mind and remain in that role. And lover happens in romantic relationship when you hide what you actually are and try to be what other persons want you to be. And this is it again, of everything. And then it's about pre-established roles which happen as the civilization grew. There were roles like as a ruler or priest, warrior or farmer. So these were the caste. This was a hierarchy which was developed, and soon it became the identity, and people started identifying with these things. And next is the pre-established roles, like when working in an organization or a military or a church, one starts identifying with those pre-established roles. And then there are temporary roles of how we interact with different persons. We can interact with the chairman of the company differently versus a janitor or a janitor boy or a child in different way. And the author says that a range of condition, pattern, behavior come into effect between two human beings that determine the nature of interaction. That's the temporary roles. And then it started with the parenthood as a role or a function, and
This change is being communicated there today. Today it is there.
it's like conscious. आगे फॉरवर्ड जब कल स्टार्ट होगा तो मैं कर दूँगा. अभी तो recap ही
अभी क्या हुआ?
and in parenthood, we as a parent sometimes take that as role as to literally and not there for the kid to be there to support the kid, but just in a role we just become authoritative that do this, don't do this, study and eat, do this thing, do those things, and that is the role is taking over as a parent. And sometimes when the kids are grown up, the role still continues, and the need to see children still at something which we can control doesn't go and can cause problems. Then it's about the next thing was about conscious suffering, where we should allow our children to grow up and see this world and make mistakes and learn from those mistakes, and which is allowing them to consciously suffer. And this is a balance there is that we need to we don't need to we still need a role of parent who can guide them if they're doing something wrong, but for common things we can still allow them to explore the world and get the experience. Okay. Now I will start with this topic. This is about the pathological ego. So the author equates ego with pathology, which I want to call it as a suffering. And the essential thing we want to tell is that ego cannot distinguish between a situation and its interpretation or a reaction to that situation. And I am holding you responsible for my pain, or what a dreadful day. And so dreadful is our reaction and our inner resistance to the situation. And the author also provides a way by which we can see these negative states or this identity with the current situation and making into suffering. And the author says that if in the midst of negativity you can realize, you're able to realize at this moment I'm creating suffering from myself, it will be enough to raise you over the limitations of the conditioned egoic states and reactions. That's the way you can stop identifying with the situations. नहीं उसी यहाँ पे एक मिनट यहाँ पे मिला के
previous.
And so there is this, sometimes this background and happiness which stays with one person, and it can take various forms like impatience, irritation, nervousness, or being fed up, and it will remain in the background and will continue, and the person will still be doing these daily things, but this sense of this discontent remains. And there are certain examples which I'll quote, that there is something that needs to happen in my life before I can be at peace, and I resent that it hasn't happened yet. Maybe my resentment will finally make it happen. That's something which goes in the mind. And another example is that something happened in the past that should not have happened, and I resent that. If that hadn't happened, I would be at peace now. Something is happening now that should not be happening, and it is preventing me from being peace at now. Another example is, you should do this or do that so that I can be at the peace, and I resent that you haven't done it yet. Maybe my resentment will make you do it. And something you did or something I did or said or failed to do in the past is preventing me from being at peace now. And what you are doing or failing to do now is preventing me from being at peace at now. So I think the essential pattern here is that still something which happened in the past, which one is still attached to and can't let go, and that is becoming a source of unhappiness. So in the present situation, we are taking the things too personally and making them a source of our unhappiness. Okay. And the next section is this secret of happiness. And the author says that you can have peace now, and you can have peace now by making peace with the present moment. And in terms of Buddha's teaching, what Buddha called it Tatthata, that is the suchness of the life, which is no more than the suchness of the moment. So opposition towards suchness is one of the main features of the ego. And then author says that how
Suchness is the way it is narrated. That is an easy way of getting it.
And author says that you can do this simple step, that ask yourself, is there negativity in me at this moment? And then become alert to your thoughts as well as your emotions, and watch out for the low level of unhappiness. And emotion and even thoughts become depolarized through awareness, depersonalized through awareness. There is no longer self-control. Okay. And the next section is about the pathological forms of ego. And one of the common thing which happens for some people is this paranoia, and it becomes a belief that certain people are plotting against me or conspiring to kill me. And the other thing which happens is that collective ego. In the collective ego, masses, as an individual I may not have done something wrong, but as a collective we make something, we identify something as bad, and then take strong actions against them. And the example given is the burning of heretics, which is in the Europe in probably the early 20th century. And the relation between the nations leading up to the First and the Second World War, where the deep sense of mistrust probably happened among the nations. And again, in the Cold War between Russia and America,
We can see it now.
the conflict which is going on.
Lives and Kashmir and India, Pakistan, all that is basically collective.
And what the author says is that the more unconscious individuals or groups or nations are, the more likely it is that the pathological ego will assume the form of physical violence.
Exactly, Americans are completely
Mostly the leaders, definitely.
But I think one thing that I noticed is that many of the Eastern teachings, we have become exposed to them through Western authors. So, there are people who their technological outreach is that eventually spread YouTubers.
Even thinking also, like I was talking with Akhilesh, and before independence there was no sense of time or there was no sense to get the historical evidence for our saints or the teachings when they had given the teaching, whether they lived or not. So there was no one actually cared historicity. When you believed in the faith and you believed the teaching. But now we want first proof that such person existed, whether it was a teaching given by them. And I think this is all a Western thing.
That is the reason.
And it's also because we are having faith as the core principle. If you have experience as a core principle, it doesn't matter. Whether Buddha lived or not, how does it matter? You practice and you get the result. It's okay. Even if there is no Buddha but somebody else wrote it or somebody else did it, who cares? It works. That's it.
So that's more the predominance of intellect rather than an ego. ये जो मसला जो आप कह रहे हैं
क्या वाला?
कि ये जैसे हमारी अवेलेबल भी चर्चा हो रही थी, मेरा मन बार बार उस पर जा रहा था, अच्छा कैसे हुआ, क्या हुआ?
वो हमारी अपनी हर एक आदमी की इंक्विजिटिवनेस का लेवल डिफरेंट होता है. It's a past sankhara which operates. Some people have a very strong tendency to be credible and credulous and believe things. If you have some person about whom you have good feelings, you accept whatever he says. That has been the main thing in our country. Faith. कोई बाबा है, कोई स्वामी है, तो faith हो गया, नहीं अच्छे आदमी है, अच्छा काम करते हैं, चलो जो कहेंगे सब ठीक. That kind of a feeling is there, which is in some sense quite risky. On the other hand, if Baba is saying something and you do it and it benefits you, then it's fine.
तो इसमें ईगो का प्ले क्या है? उसका प्ले
क्योंकि अगर रियल फेथ में आपको ईगो ड्रॉप कर देंगे, जितना आप क्वेश्चन करते रहेंगे, एनालिसिस करते रहेंगे, जो stops you from really listening to the Baba or
But could it not be just the habit pattern where the intellect predominates over, belief and trust and that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, it could be. It could that also, and it could also be a resistance arising from it. You can't really say it 100%. See, really it can work both ways. It can be resistance arising from ego. Unless it, the Jan Sumeru, I was listening just recently. He says, don't trust people on their words. Don't trust people just like that. But don't distrust the English. Listen what they are saying, understand it, and then evaluate and analyze it. The moment our ego comes into picture, we are not able to listen. That is the problem. उसने एक शब्द कहा और मेरे को इतना प्रतिक्रिया हो गई तो मैंने बाकी बात तो सुनी ही नहीं. That is it. So here he is talking more of collective issues, collective ego of nation, which we can see very strongly operate now. At this moment, our nation state concept is so strong. We are all part of it, all trapped. तो एक हमारा जर्नलिस्ट में पाकिस्तान जाकर उससे मिलाया तो कितना हंगामा चल रहा है. Basically because we have a collective ego and we feel they are bad and we are good.
And you can't speak in favor of that. You also
Not
believe
just
in
in
that.
favor of that. You can't even meet him and find out what is he. You can't even meet a person and find out. For all you know, you don't have proof that he may not be the person who is responsible for it. Or he may be. You will not take that maybe option नहीं रखा हमने. That is the problem. You have taken it to be certain. And हमने कहते हैं हमने प्रूफ दिया, पाकिस्तान कोर्ट ने रिएक्ट कर दिया, तो पाकिस्तान कोर्ट भी ऐसे ही हमारे कोर्ट अच्छे होंगे बुरे. सेम थिंग अमेरिका थिंक अबाउट आवर कोर्ट्स. अमेरिकन का जो था प्रोसिक्यूटर से पूछा भी तुमने यहाँ से आदमी क्यों उठा के ले गए. इंडियन कोर्ट तो बकवास है, हमको कोई विश्वास नहीं कर सकते. So what do you do? What do you do about it? That is a collective ego operation, and it is a pathological thing. It creates distress, it can create wars.
So the take one of the points that I have become a lot more inclined towards faith, not the faith as devotion. Because the taking things, it personally requires some faith.
Faith in God.
That is very difficult to say, but because taking personally would require you to disidentify. And disidentifying
There is need for a faith inside that you kind of articulate from my perspective. When you take things impersonally, then you have faith in the cosmic law.
right.
That is inherent. Without that you cannot operate. The faith in the law of karma. That's a faith. But it is not proof. In the absolute sense of the law, of course, limited proofs are there. So what is it? How do we distinguish from the others? That this faith is based on confidence. It is more of a confidence rather than a faith. There is a difference between faith. Very technical difference. इस तरह काम जो है वो धर्म करता है. शब्दों के ऐसे करके करता है. अब वो शब्दों का ट्रांसलेशन कितना अच्छा हुआ वो भी एक प्रॉब्लम हो जाती है. But if you read the Pali word and then you can see, but there is a nuance, there's some nuance of a difference here. And we say, these 24 conditionalities, there's such a small difference between them. Such a small difference. If you think deeply, then you will see, that's a difference. The same thing difference between faith and confidence. Because we have known कि भाई ये पेड़ ये बीज डालने से यही आता है, आज तक कोई बदला नहीं, कुछ नहीं होता. और ये भी देख लिया अभी गुस्सा करने से दुख होता है, ये भी जान ली. और गुस्सा करने से मेंटल स्टेट बहुत खराब हो जाती है, ये भी जान ली. तो जब इतना सब होता है तो यार इसका असर आगे बढ़ता है. ये भी देख लिया कि पुराना गुस्से का असर अभी तक चला आ रहा है. सो देन यू बिकम कॉन्फिडेंट. देयर इज सम सेंस इन दिस लॉ ऑफ कर्मा. ऐसा चलता ही. यू मे स्टिल बिलीव कि पता नहीं हेल है कि नहीं है. यहाँ पे हेल है वो तुम देख ही रहे हैं. Especially when you see people suffering without any rhyme or reason. बीमार हो गए, स्ट्रोक हो गया, इलनेस हो गई, डिमेंशिया हो गया. Unimaginable. Can't really have any basis for it other than कि कुछ ना कुछ तो हुआ होगा जिस कारण से ये सफर कर रहा है, ये नहीं कर रहा. So you get confidence there. तो सच things are necessary. Otherwise आप चल ही नहीं सकते. If you don't have faith in this whole law of karma and rebirth, then what the hell is this whole issue of liberation? Then liberation is same thing as materialistic. कुछ रहना है, किसी तरह से रहना, हमारे को रहना है, कुछ क्या है? दारू आप रहेंगे, कुछ रहता हूँ, क्या प्रॉब्लम? मैं क्या मालूम? हम तो गैस ही कर रहे हैं ना, उसकी मेंटल स्टेट ऐसी होगी, इस कारण से ऐसा होगा, देता हूँ फिर भाई, और कुछ भी हमका साथ हमारे साथ ऐसा हुआ, क्या मालूम है एक्सेप्शन हो, इवन नजान से मेरे स्टेज इन वन थिंग, मेरे साथ ऐसा हुआ, बट मे बी आई एम एन एक्सेप्शन, प्लीज वेरीफाई, डोंट टेक माय वर्ड फॉर इट. So there is obviously an element of faith at that time. Without that, तो आप आगे बढ़ ही नहीं सकते. How can you surrender if you don't have faith? How can you accept the reality as it is unless you have faith that it is not in my good? जो भी हो रहा है मेरे भले के लिए हो रहा है. इसमें जो faith है ना हमारा. And without that faith, there is no possibility of surrender. It's possible. Otherwise, we would try to manipulate all the time. To that extent.
Okay.
There could be a counter argument also, that this notion कि भाई जो हो रहा है मेरे भले के लिए हो रहा है. The alternate view is then equally credible. So therefore, this is not something that we can test by experience or anything.
I have tested. Even such a great thing as death of my son has turned out to be for my good. I can't think of anything worse than that. I was going in one path and you just threw me on another acceleration. But I wouldn't have explored at all. So it is and I've seen it even at much lesser issues many times. Failures and difficulties of other kind, opposition from, unexpected opposition from friends, betrayals. Betrayals I have faced and seen that they have helped me to go next step. Even the resignation from being a teacher, I've seen it has taken my meditation and understanding to another level. It's such a painful thing, as painful as my death of my son. Extremely painful. But that confidence is there, कुछ ना कुछ तो भला होने वाला है. That's what's sorrowful. So I guess my experience has always corroborated this fact, this statement. And therefore, it's not that I remember all the time. I forget it also and then suffer. But the moment I recall, things start to change. You could say it is a kind of self-autosuggestion. Could be an autosuggestion. So,
Or as others have, so this is my experience, when I convert about this is somebody else's, or what comes back at you is that this is also a way of rationalizing what is.
maybe.
But I think you make a good point. I think the issue is not whether the other believes it or not. The issue is whether it works for me. And I think the trap that sometimes I get into is in expounding it too much.
No, when we try to tell to others, अभी बोला ना कुछ महीने पहले a person was senior to me in meditation and who had also resigned much earlier than me. He had come all the way to talk to me on certain issues, and eventually it turned out this whole issue of rebirth and passing over cycle of birth and death. He thought it was not fundamental to the teaching of Buddha. I said, then what is fundamental? Fundamentally observe sensations and just be observant without even doing this scanning. I said, okay, scanning is not fundamental, no doubt about it. But then why are you doing it? Are you doing it only for the sake of making the mind peaceful and getting leading a happy life in this world, or is there something beyond it also? And why don't you ask the question of that time? I couldn't convince him. So there was a risk that I could also lose my faith in it. And I know for sure. There is absolute element of doubt in my mind on this issue. I then told him there is scientific evidence, people have collected this much evidence, that. Of course, he had his own mindset, he didn't want to expect it, he didn't want to explore it. So that's okay. That will disturb you. It can disturb you if you find a person who is equally spiritually or even more spiritually oriented than you, and he is saying such a statement. And you can, it's a challenge to your faith. The test of it is that you stand by it. It doesn't mean blind faith. You try to verify all the time. And whatever evidence is there in support of it, you try to find it out and so as to strengthen your faith. What else can we do? There's no other way really. For things like this, seeing that I have been born so many times and gone through so many lives, how can I know it? Unless I have that great psychic power of being able to see my past to such an extent. Even if you cut about that law of karma and these essential elements from Buddha, then it gets stripped to positive thinking or something like psychotherapy. भाई परेशानी हो रही है तो एक थेरेपिस्ट के पास में गए, संडे कोर्स में चले गए, परेशानी कम हो गई, तो ठीक है। अगली बार फिर परेशानी हो गई, फिर संडे कोर्स में चले गए, फिर थोड़ा बेचैनी हो गई, बेचैनी कम हो गई। आप साइकोथेरेपिस्ट के पास नहीं गए क्योंकि बहुत ज़्यादा पैसा लगता है, चले गए, कम में काम चल जाता है।
But this feels good also, meditation करना।
हाँ।
साइकोथेरेपिस्ट से ज़रा फीलिंग होती है कि मैं बीमार हूँ।
अच्छा ईगो बूस्ट होती है, देखो मैं कितना अच्छा काम कर रहा हूँ।
साइकोथेरेपिस्ट के पास जाना लगता है कि उनको कोई मेंटल बीमारी है और अच्छा लगता है कि देखो मैं तो दूसरों से बेटर हूँ।
हाँ, इंडिया में ऐसा नहीं है। In fact, many meditation teachers have openly said that they have gone through depression. Even Raghushi said in one of his talks.
But he encourages, na, that's all. जो करना है कर लो।
हाँ।
But
उसके बात को समझो, उस तरह से समझ में आती है वैसे समझो।
correct.
So this is the last section, last of it.
तो 3 स्लाइड में okay.
So our ego is not dying at all, finishing holding on for weeks.
So the author in this section says that there are 2 ways to work. One way is to work with ego and one way is to work without ego.
You know it well. But second we know.
Yeah.
First we know.
Actually, in the second one, when you work with ego, I think this general sense of
99% of the time this is happening. Personal recognition and resentment and क्या मेरे को फायदा होने वाला है, प्रमोशन होगी कि नहीं होगी, मैं क्यों काम कर रहा हूँ फालतू में, मेरे को सुनते ही नहीं, मेरी बॉदर ही नहीं करते मेरे बारे में.
And without ego is that when you work without any self-seeking, fully responding to whatever the present moment requires of them. Just being attentive and to the demands of the present moment. Okay, this section is about the ego in illness.
तो पिछले सालों से मुझे काफी इसका अनुभव हो रहा है. Falling in again and again.
Yeah, but I think sir, illness is fine, but ego in illness is fine. So the author makes this 2 kind of distinction. One kind of distinction happens is that when you're ill, your ego actually boosts, and then you resent being ill, and your ego becomes stronger, and you make illness one's conceptual identity, and keep repeating that I am the sufferer of such and such disease. And so it's like magnification of your ego. And another, sometimes what happens is that when one is ill, the person has less energy, and whatever energy is there, that goes for the sustenance of the being, and there is not much left for the ego,
Keep the resentment on.
and it actually goes down. But eventually, when the person recovers, the ego again
It isn't really dying.
is really dying.
The environment state. Certainly Shakti comes. See, if you have the acceptance of pain and acceptance of inevitability of death, then illness is not a big issue.
But I didn't follow this thought. So when you are ill, it dims
Because the energy level falls down.
Body energy,
Energy level falls down, then you are not in a position to really think about the issues. You are in a state of kind of give up. You are not even in a position to have the energy to resign the whole thing. But momentarily it will come. वो डॉक्टर नहीं आया, ये नहीं हुआ, फिर गुस्सा हो जाएगा पेशेंट. Still time is lying dormant, so just give it the energy to think.
and this section is the collective ego, and it's slightly different from the pathological form, and this collective ego is more common, and
Germany versus Bali.
yes, like identifying with a particular cricket team and with a political party or with
We all supported this political party.
yes. And also says that collective ego is usually more unconscious than the individual that make up the ego. Crowds are capable of committing atrocities that individual away from the crowd would not do. That's the
Very true.
and this is the last slide where the title is incontrovertible proof of immortality. I'll just read the whole section. We could even say that the notion of my life is the original delusion of the separatedness, the source of the ego. If I and the life are the two, if I am separated from life, then I am separate from all the things, all beings, all people. But how could I be separate from life? What I could be there apart from life, apart from being? It is utterly impossible. So there is no such thing as my life and I don't have a life. I am life. I and life are one. It cannot be otherwise. So how could I lose my life? How can I lose something that how can I lose something that I don't have in the first place? How can I lose something that I am? It is impossible. So there is some play of words.
The basic issue is the basic quadratic formulation. It presumes that I has to be there. That's the presumption. There is life, of course, no doubt. Life does not die. There is birth and death, not life and death. Quite obvious. And it is life which is operating through this organism and giving rise to consciousness and everything else. Whole drama is happening because of consciousness. Life is not going to die. The analogy of electromagnetic field is the most appropriate analogy for it. That's the last. You were done, finished?
Fourth chapter is finished. Yes. I don't know what is the fifth chapter.
What's coming here?
So there is this question from Chilesh. I wonder why nature makes us go through suffering to go to the next level of exploration. Why not in compassionate way? Teachers.
Yeah, it's $1 million question. It's not answerable. Because the answer to this question will lie in understanding why are we here. It's impossible. It's possible. What we can say is there is. At the moment I am, and at the moment I am suffering because of this thing. If I do that, I can do it.
I think this is the acceptance of that one is suffering also is fine.
No, the question about why nature is behaving in this manner is impossible. You can't answer it. Because it will eventually lead you to theistic doctrine कि कोई ईश्वर है, उसने ऐसा बनाया, तो ईश्वर ने ऐसा क्यों बनाया? तो इतनी समझ नहीं थी क्या? It will eventually come to that question. So, भजनाथ सिंह को कहते हैं ना कि मैं बचपन में माँ से कहा करता था, if I was God, I will not have created pain. I would have made a much better world than what your God has made. And mother will get worried कि ये क्या कह रहा है? I will fall down while playing and hurt. Mother will say, okay, God's will. Why should there be pain then? If I was God, I would have made a much better world. No pain. It's the same question there. There's no way that we can answer. Nobody can answer it. That's the way it is. All we can say is that is the way it is.
Suresh, any other questions? Okay then, so I'll close the session.